Everyone, Madam Clerk, are we ready to roll?
Yes, we're ready to roll.
Good morning. You are at Cuyahoga County's Community Development Committee meeting, and today is Monday, October 17th, 2022. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
As a reminder to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county YouTube page. Calling the roll for Ms. Stevens.
Present.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Ms. Simon. Ms. Simon is absent at the moment. Mr. Gallagher. Ms. Baker.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank
and let
you.
the record reflect that Mr. Miller is also in attendance.
Good morning and welcome, Mr. Miller. Is there any public comment?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have one person signed in for public comment. Lou?
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm glad to see we have a very healthy agendas for the community. Yes, some people still may not understand the so-called community grant funds, the procedure legal or illegal. But if you look at all the projects we have been gone through, we can tell our whole community are all not too far away from homelessness. For example, I'm here to support this particular one, R20220362. Why? For an important community assets, they do not have a proper permanent location for them to operate. Just like a Highland Heights, they're basically their civic center, whatever they need to serve the residents. The equipment is from 1980s. So for all of us not to get into the falling apart stage, to be really homeless, we had better utilize all these funds to get things started to remedy. However, right now I think I regret these funds are too small, not really enough to go around. Yes, CMHA needs our help too. I'm here to support that. For example, the dollar amount put on the agenda is actually not even half of what we need. But we all know we can only generate so much income, state is no help to us. So I hope we can smartly utilize Arpa funds, try to get things started and rolling, and later we really have to get together for the whole community's own good to tackle what state has been done to us. Differential mistreatment, just like in a homeless shelter. Thank you.
Thank you, Lou. Next is the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve? Any edits, comments?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. All in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? Madam Clerk, the minutes have been approved. Now we can proceed to our committee meeting.
Resolution 2022-0354, awarding a total sum not to exceed $250,000 to the City of Seven Hills for the North Park Pavilion project from the District 6 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
And who's here to represent the municipality?
Good morning. My name's Jennifer Berger. I'm the Park and Recreation Director for the City of Seven Hills, and I'm here on behalf of Mayor Biassiata. He apologizes. The City of Seven Hills has a part-time mayor, so he does have a day job during the day. Today, we're asking for $250,000 for the North Park Pavilion, which is to be set up at, obviously, North Park in Seven Hills. We have 6 parks throughout the city, and this pavilion is going to be a year-round pavilion with giant garage doors on one side that can overlook our new nature preserve. The total cost of this build is $935,000. So we're asking for help for just over 26% of this project to be covered by this grant.
You have some attachments that you provided to us?
I do.
You want to walk us through those or just give us a quick overview?
So there's a couple different specs or drawings that were sent in, and those were already approved by our architect, which is Brandstetter Carroll. And then we have already begun the bid phase, and Hummel Construction will be building this. And we are ready to put the shovels into the ground as of later this fall. So this project has already begun. And this pavilion, like I mentioned, is $935,000 and is part of our Phase 1B approval and should be finished by fall of next year.
How many square feet is it?
Right now, it is actually, I don't have that one on here, I'm sorry. Let's see, I'm sorry I don't have the square footage available on that one. It's part of our bid spec, but I did not bring that part. The goal is it would be able to have over 250 people inside. And then there's also room for outside, a pavilion area and restrooms so that they wouldn't interfere with whatever event or community program would be going on inside of that building.
The restrooms they're part of the structure, but you access them through the exterior?
Correct. So you wouldn't have to walk through somebody's event in order to utilize the restrooms in that park.
Do any of my colleagues have questions?
If I may,
Go ahead.
on the funding piece, so you have a non-expiring park and recreation levy?
We do.
That's good to have in place.
Yes.
Congratulations on the voters supporting that.
Thank you.
So is that money set aside for other projects? How are you able to support this project for whatever other projects perhaps these are targeted for?
Okay. So Mayor Biassiata was elected in 2019, and then in 2020, we went to the voters for the non-expiring park and recreation levy. And then shortly after that, he took advantage of the low rates and rolled the first 30 years into a bond. And so we have $4.5 million set aside to be utilized within those first 3 to 4 years of this project. So we have 3 phases of parks improvements coming. And then with that non-expiring levy, that can help anything throughout any of our 6 parks, our recreation department, to bring additional jobs in as well, because obviously when you build these sorts of structures, you're going to need more staff and people to take care of it and maintain it.
Right, then you have that all figured
Correct.
into your strategy.
So that's all included in that bond work.
Well, that bond sounds like a very business-driven decision, so I congratulate the mayor there for
Perfect
thinking
timing.
forward. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions?
One question. Hi, good morning.
Hi.
As I looked at the rendering, it reminded me of the pavilion in Walton Hills. I was just curious if there was any, the architects or any inspiration, or if you visited others in coming up with this design.
Yes, so we traveled around to several different pavilions and parks. There's Roaring Meadows is a similar one. There's one, the Bluffs, I believe it's Lake Erie Bluffs, has a pavilion the same style. And the architect sent us several renderings, and we just kind of picked our favorite parts about each of those and then made it unique to Seven Hills.
Thank you.
Sure.
If there are no further questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations. This moves on to the full committee of council.
Thank you very much.
Resolution 2022-0358, awarding a total sum not to exceed $250,000 to the City of Mayfield Heights for the Aquatic and Community Center project from the District 6 Arpa Community Grant Fund.
And who's here to represent this project?
Hi, my name is Sean Ward. I'm the Recreation Director for the City of Mayfield Heights. Mayor DeSico could not be here. Again, he's a part-time mayor, and he's his job that he's in. So,
Good morning, I'm Jason Oldie. I'm with GPD Group, and we're the owner's rep on the project.
Go ahead, proceed, please.
so we're really excited about a once-in-a-generation project here in Mayfield Heights, where we're going to be consolidating a pool that was built in the 50s, a community center that was kind of outgrown, and put them together in a project that will include a gymnasium to just bring our community together and provide a myriad of recreational opportunities for residents of all ages. Oh, let's see. On the screen is a picture of a rendering of the gymnasium, and you can see to the right of that is just the general entrance to the facility. So just an overall, we're here for the gymnasium, but I'm just going to give you an overall rundown of what we're excited about here in Mayfield Heights. So this is a rendering looking east. If you're familiar with 271 heading south just past Mayfield Road, I don't know if you remember the ball fields that used to be off on the right. And we had a service yard that was kind of in our front door looking out at the freeway, and it wasn't the best situation for our front door. So we're excited about being able to consolidate into a beautiful facility. Our pool was old 20 years ago, so this is going to be a welcome addition, and we're really excited about the whole project. There's just an overview from the top. You can see the big square in the center is where the gymnasium would be, and just to the left of that is our community rooms. Also, we will have a senior fitness center in that facility, and our rec department offices will also be in there as well. One of the reasons why we wanted to add a pool to this project, or a gymnasium to this project, is in the summertime we have a day camp of 150 kids, and when it rains, when we have a bad weather event, we have to walk over a quarter mile to the local elementary school, Lander School, and cross 3 lanes of traffic to get there. So, if we get in a situation where it's kind of hairy and they got to get there quick, it could be just not the safest situation. So adding a gymnasium where they can just cross the street and get into shelter much easier was a driving force to getting this done. But we also viewed, expanding programming to all ages, fitness for seniors, programming for youth, after-school programs, volleyball, theater programs. We're just excited about the opportunity that we have to expand for our residents, the programming. Additionally, we have a pretty large pickleball program in the summertime, and in the winter they kind of go scrambling looking for a place to play, and so this will afford us the ability to offer them a place to play year-round. So there's an overview of the site facing east. And we will have one main gymnasium, one main basketball floor, 2 side courts. It could also be 2 volleyball courts, and we'll be lined for a total of 6 pickleball courts. So there'll be a lot of flexibility in what we can offer our residents. Just to give an overview of the rest of the project, we're also relocating our service department yard further to the east, and we're going to hope to conceal that so it's not something that the people passing by on 271 can see very easily. It's just a rendering of the entrance to the pool, the main entrance again. And here's a look from the back side from the pool. And the building, we're using the building to act as a shield for 271, so the pool's kind of buffered from 271. For any of you that have been in Mayfield Heights back in the 70s, you might remember the giant slide. We kind of brought this slide tower to kind of be reaching back into our past to bring something forward. So we're excited about our giant slide. And there'll also be an ADA playground on the site as well. And that's it.
Okay, a couple questions from me. How much is the total project cost for this overall project? Because you've got way more than $250,000 there.
Yes, well, originally, GPD, our engineers, a year and a half ago, estimated this would be 17 million, and it's now up to 35. So it's, with the world we're living in today,
It's amazing, isn't it? You don't change anything in your design, and your construction costs double. Does anyone else have questions?
May,
Madam?
just curious that this 1.7 million, that is the total of the project that we're talking about today, the 250 million is towards just the gymnasium.
Correct.
And how far along, I'm sorry if I didn't hear, how far along are you in the balance of the project? Have you started, broken ground? Where are you on it?
Yeah, so we've broken ground. We broke ground in June, and the gymnasium is on schedule to open in September, mid-September at this point of next year.
And I know you have one-time dollars from the issue 9 money. How are you planning to make up the difference between 17 million and 35?
So issue 9 is the income tax, and so when we went to the voters for the 0.5% increase, we told them that 60% would go towards roads and sidewalks, and the remaining 40% would go towards public properties. So it's an ongoing, it's part of our income tax now.
So 40% each year you plan on putting into this project, or at least, and there's other needs, I'm sure.
Well, there's 2 phases to this project, and so phase 2 probably will be put on hold a little bit while we, take care of phase 1.
So phase 1 includes what?
That the whole project, so the service department, the ADA playground, the pool, the community rooms, the gymnasium, I guess that's the south parcel of our city park.
Well, it's an aggressive proposal, and I wish you luck, and good to see that the money that you're asking for is going to help with your gymnasium. That's a huge, though, difference in price from just a year and a half ago, of over twice as much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Miller?
are you planning to do a bond sale and use the proceeds from the income tax to pay it off?
I believe so, yes. I leave that portion to our finance director. But yes, I believe that's the plan, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion that we move this to the full council.
I'll second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations. This will move to the full council and have 3 readings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 2022-0362, awarding a total sum not to exceed $300,000 to the Chagrin Documentary Film Festival for the purpose of purchasing and renovating permanent office and event space.
And who's representing the community today?
Good morning. I'm Mary Ann Ponce, the Executive Director of the Chagrin Documentary Film Festival.
Good morning, and proceed with your presentation, please.
So we embarked on the campaign for CDFF to bring the world home, to create a permanent home for the film festival, and also to create a year-round screening space and discussion space right in the heart of Chagrin Falls. And we're also really excited that this move will ensure the future success of the film festival. So this is what, just to give you a little background, this is a building from the 1840s that sits right on the, excuse me, right on the triangle in Chagrin Falls. It's a two-story building. Each floor is about 1,600 square feet, and this is the ground floor level. And we imagine this as a flex space with a 35-seat retractable theater seating and a retractable screen. And when the seating is not extended, it's a meeting space for a community and our various committees, et cetera. It'll also include a small retail space, and we're adding in ADA-compliant restrooms. So the impact on Cuyahoga County, we just completed our 13th annual Chagrin Documentary Film Festival. We physically welcomed more than 6,100 people from all over the world, the U.S. and Ohio. Even before this space will be created, the annual impact to Cuyahoga County is in excess of $1.2 million. The Chagrin Documentary Film Festival has been recognized for 8 years now as one of the top 50 film festivals for independent filmmakers in the world, and this is out of more than 7,000 film festivals. So a permanent home ensures that we just want to continue this impact for many years and many decades to come, and so it's really meaningful to us to have this permanent spot right in the heart of Chagrin Falls. We bring visitors from around the globe. For those of you who haven't come to the film festival, we invite you to come. We had filmmakers from Malta, Syria, Sweden, and more this year. More than 50 filmmakers visited us, as well as attendees. It's become really a destination event in the fall for people from all around the country. We are really proud to present important social issues and discussions around them with the films. This is the team we had a film called Lovely Jackson about the longest incarcerated innocent prisoner, Ricky Jackson, and just a tremendous program and discussion around that. And that's just an example of dozens of programs that we present every year. So just to summarize, this space will just be critical, and we're really proud to be opening minds and fostering important communications, and that we also bring a really powerful economic impact to Cuyahoga County every year, and now it'll be year-round. So we thank you if you can help us make it happen to bring the world home.
Thank you for your presentation. Just a couple of questions from me first. What is you're acquiring the building, and that's a 3,200 square foot building?
Correct.
And what's the total project cost to
The total
acquire and
project
rehab?
cost is $1 million. Again, I heard the discussion about the increase in construction costs. We may be raising that to $1.1 million because of the estimates look like they're changing on our construction. We acquired the building. We had the opportunity to acquire the building, which was a rare opportunity, and we did close on that in December of last year. The downstairs space is rented until June of next year, and we'll begin construction then.
Do you have are you setting up reserves for your maintenance and operation?
Part of this is built into the million, now $1.1 million, is reserves for maintenance, and also the staffing required to program really important films and discussions is built into this as well.
What's your annual operating budget?
Our annual operating budget is just short of $500,000.
Thank you. Do any of my colleagues have questions? Mr. Miller?
What is your timetable on the completion of the improvements?
We, when the space is available in June, we're going to be all ready to go to begin. There isn't a lot of construction required. It's removing some walls, creating the ADA compliant bathroom, installing the retractable seating, and we're also doing some work in the basement to create a small kitchen. So it's not a huge construction project, but we will hope to begin that right out of the box and be ready to go in July, and then to be done by September so we can open it for the next film festival.
Okay, thank you.
I have just a question. On this first of all is casino revenue dollars. This is not ARPA dollars. So this is coming from our
That is
Community
correct.
Development Fund,
That is correct.
just to make that distinction. And so the 300,000 is for, according to the resolution, to fund the purchase of and renovation of permanent office and event space. So 300,000 takes you how far? You said you needed $1 million to.
Yes, we have raised, as of today, $730,000 from
have.
private supporters, everywhere from $5 to $50,000. So we're really grateful for that. There's big community support for this.
So this 300,000 will push you to the $1 million that you need to get
Yes, it
done.
will.
Thanks for that, and congratulations on raising those dollars. It's not easy to do.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. And then the 500,000 you create annually, that will take care of your overhead expenses?
Yes.
The new facility and the staff and things that you aren't paying for now?
Yes, yeah. That covers staffing, and we've had tremendous growth, so we've had growth in our staffing as well, and everything to maintain and operate the building.
Have you projected how much more you think you will create in revenue, given the expansion of this renovated space?
It's a fairly small screening space, so the revenue is not a significant factor. There will be some revenue that we believe will cover the operating costs.
Okay.
Any nonprofit will tell you ticket sales are important, but really it's going to be the support around that. So presenting programs that people can sponsor and that kind of thing will be an integral part of the plan. But it will give us more opportunities to present programs about the environment, social justice, those kind of things that we believe the support will be behind. So it's a good community thing. The ticket sales are important, but just enough to cover operations.
Good, okay. Well, thank you for that. Looks like a good project. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we move this to the full council,
Is there a second?
and I'd like to have my name added to this as well.
Madam Clerk, if you would add the president's name to the legislation, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would also like my name added. Thank you.
And there you go, Mr. Miller. There's been a motion placed on the floor and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Congratulations, you've been moved on to the full council.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I confirm that's for second reading?
Does anyone know whether Mr. Schron wanted a second reading or not?
We should go to the full council
Okay.
under all three.
We should
readings.
do all three, the full readings.
Thank you. Resolution 2022-0371, authorizing an agreement with Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority in the amount not to exceed $2 million to provide various emergency rental assistance services to income-eligible tenants for the eligibility period of April 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2022, in connection with the Emergency Rental Assistance 1 and 2 program for the period September 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Hertig. If you'd introduce yourself for the record, and do you have someone from this agency to speak to us as well?
Good morning, Paul Hertig, Department of Development. I am not Sarah Parks Jackson. Sarah is under doctor's orders to isolate for a few days. She's doing fine, but she can't be here. I will attempt to do as good a job presenting this as Sarah would do. And with me, who will speak in just a moment, is Dorovet Noland, the Director of Policy, Planning, and Housing Mobility for the Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority. So I'll give a brief overview and answer any questions before Dorovet comes up. This item provides $2 million of funding for two separate and important projects at CMHA. The first project is $500,000. This is from the Emergency Rental Assistance 1, and it is for internet service on behalf of tenants in CMHA buildings. During the pandemic, we all became painfully aware of the importance of being connected. Residents of CMHA buildings have very few resources, and so CMHA negotiated an agreement with Spectrum, as I believe Dorovet will say in more detail. The addition of this $500,000 will allow the tenants to continue to receive the services for a longer period of time before they need to start paying themselves. So it will extend the time when the services can be provided to the tenants. The second piece of this, $1.5 million from Emergency Rental Assistance 2 funding, will provide for those who have been approved for housing choice vouchers. It'll provide the ability to pay a security deposit and up to the first 3 months of rent as they conduct their choice for rental housing anywhere outside the city of Cleveland. This has been identified as a barrier for many tenants who have been approved for a voucher, but in the current market especially, it's a rather hot market for rental housing. Tenants have had a great deal of difficulty locating available rental properties. And so, again, as Dory may talk about in more detail, we have determined that one of the largest barriers that's keeping tenants from being able to locate suitable housing is that there's no source of funds to pay the security deposit. The HCV won't pay that. And there's also sometimes a gap in timing when the tenant is ready to move and when the housing choice voucher system can be ready to start paying. So this funding will fill that gap and will therefore support a significant number of tenants in being able to utilize their housing choice vouchers and obtain rental housing in communities of their choice. So I'll pause if there's any immediate questions for me before Dorovet comes forward.
Just a quick question on these security deposits. Who's going to be providing this expedited service for them to get the funds, or for them to be able to make the funds available to future landlords?
This will flow through CMHA, and Dorovet will be able to say in more detail internally how that will be administered, but this will all come through CMHA.
Oh, Ms. Baker?
So the 2 months advanced security deposit, I should say security deposit, is that 2 months worth? Is that 3 months? How do we determine what is affordable?
Sure. Again, I'm going to punt to Dory in just a moment, but essentially there's the ability to provide a security deposit and also to provide up to 3 months of rent until such times the housing choice voucher is fully processed. I will let Dory speak, if that's okay, in a little more
Sure.
detail on how the amount of the security deposit is allowed and determined.
Thank you.
One question. Madam Chair. How did this legislation come to be? Did CMHA reach out to you, or did you reach out to CMHA?
Thank you. And again, I want to give Sarah some of the credit here, but we've been in dialogue with Jeff and his staff at CMHA since the very beginning of the availability of emergency rental funds, recognizing that that's where a significant number of renters who are in need of assistance are, either directly in the CMHA properties themselves or those that have the vouchers. So there's been an ongoing dialogue with CMHA to see the best way we can match the available federal resource up with the needs that they brought forward.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Hertig, if you would allow the young woman from CMHA to come forward, please.
Good morning, everyone. Like Director Herdig mentioned, my name is Dory Vent Nolan. I'm the Director of Policy Planning and Housing Mobility at the Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority. To answer a few of your questions regarding the security deposit assistance, in the beginning of the pandemic, CMHA received CARES Act funds. With some of those funds, we were able to provide Housing Choice Voucher participants up to $600 towards their security deposits. And we found that with that limited amount of money, we only used like $1 million of the CARES Act funds. With that amount of money, we were able to assist over 1,400 households in leasing up using their voucher, making them more competitive in the rental market. It seemed that having that extra backing to provide assistance with the security deposit made it more feasible for them to actually go under contract. So once this became available, I believe there was an RFP earlier in the year that we responded to be able to extend that process. We only did that up through the end of 2021. So all of 2022, we haven't been able to provide that kind of service. So we were just trying to extend that.
Questions? Mr. Miller?
So, with unemployment at 3.5% and the economy being pretty strong, can you describe what kind of people are typically getting housing vouchers? Is it people on disabilities? Is it people who are working but they don't make enough money to make ends meet? What can you describe what the nature of the need is that's out there?
Sure, I can give you demographics about our general population. We serve over 49,000 individuals with all programs. 2,300 of these families are throughout the jurisdiction of Cuyahoga County. Of those 2,300 families, 23,000, I'm sorry, households, 24% are elderly. Another 31% have a head, co-head, or spouse who is a person with a disability. 73% of all households have females as the head of household. 90% of all families served are families of color. And 38% of all the individuals that we serve are children. The average household income for folks assisted by CMHA is $10,000.
How many, excuse me, are you finished, Mr. Miller?
Yes.
How many units does CMHA have in Cuyahoga County?
CMHA has over 10,500 owned and managed units in Cuyahoga County, and the voucher program is currently serving just under 14,000 households.
So you effectively provide housing for approximately 25,000 people.
Yes.
A big number.
It is. We are the 7th largest housing authority in the country.
I know you're the largest in this state.
Correct.
I didn't know where you ranked nationally. Did I see a question blooming over there,
Yes,
Ms. Baker?
if I may. Just curious on the numbers again. So did I understand you to say that 25,000 are the people that are served, and those 25,000 are earning 10,000 or less in income?
Yes, the average household income is $10,000. There may be some households that make more than that, but of course, the majority, we have a large amount of households that have very, very low or zero income, which would bring down the average.
Right. If you were to take out the extreme of high and low, where would you think the average income would be? Is that a question or is that something you've ever looked into?
I think in our voucher program, we've looked at it separate of the voucher program participants and low-income public housing participants. In our voucher program participants, the income is a little higher at like $16,000 for the year. And then in the low-income public housing program, it goes down to like $9,000 a year.
So as a point of clarification for my colleagues, in order to be a tenant in CMHAs or any housing authorities, it's a percentage of median income.
Correct.
And so, for example, our median income is, for Cuyahoga County is,
It's 50% of area median income for the voucher program and 80% of area median income for low-income public housing program.
Thank you for that. Just another question on the 3 months. Let's see, the security deposit of approximately, did you say security deposit ranges around 600?
The security deposit is based on the contract rent.
Okay.
So contract rent is determined by the rent reasonableness and the maximum amount of subsidy that we can provide. Right now, the average contract rent is right around $900. So to serve the most families that we possibly could with this program, we will have a security deposit of either the contract rent or $1,000, whichever is less.
And the 3 months then that follow that will be covered in rent?
The 3 months is the 3 months worth of tenant portion. So it would be the out-of-pocket cost that the tenant has, and that's determined by 30% of their adjusted monthly income.
And what happens after the 3 months?
After the 3 months, the participant is responsible for paying that portion directly to the owner, and CMHA will pay the difference through a housing assistance payment.
Have you had any concerns where when security deposit's over and the 3 months has exhausted, that person can't afford to continue paying their portion of the rent?
Since the household portion, the out-of-pocket portion, is based on your income, should you have a decrease in income, we will adjust what your portion is up to and including a zero portion that we would pay the full cost of the contract rent directly to the owner.
And the security deposit, usually that's returned after that the person leaves, if everything is left in good order. What happens to that security deposit at that point?
The security deposit in this case, as well as in the CARES Act funds that we did, would be returned in conjunction with all of the terms of the dwelling lease. So if the dwelling lease says that within 30 days it'll be returned to the tenant minus any damages, and that's what would happen.
So the tenant who did not put down the $600, he would receive the $1,000, let's say. He would receive that $1,000. What is the logic behind that? Just that it gives him something to put down towards the next effort?
Exactly. The idea is that potentially this one-time benefit could continue to benefit that household for years to come in different housing.
And if he did not use it for that purpose, that's not something that we track or have restrictions on or anything like that?
No, we wouldn't track it or restrict it, but it's to their benefit to put it towards the next rental housing.
Thank you. I appreciate the answers.
is there anyone else with questions?
No, no.
Oh,
The Department respectfully requests second reading passage. This is not Arpa money, this is other federal money, and it is needed to expedite the contract signing.
okay. Any opposition from my colleagues? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we move this to the full council under second reading suspension.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second by Mr. Gallagher. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Hurdig. Ms. Nolan.
I'd like to have my name added to this item as well.
And could you also add my name? Anyone else would like to have their name added? Thank you. Stevens and Jones.
No, there's no other business.
Madam Chair. Could I ask one more question before you leave? Yes. My question. More likely, Hurtig.
Okay, Mr. Hurdig, if you'd come to the
Yes.
I may
back
need a
to the
lifeline.
podium. But tell Ms. Nolan not to run away.
My question is whether we think this is the last of the emergency assistance federal money for rental, or whether we think there's going to be more.
Thank you, Councilman. It's difficult to know the future in full. I will say we haven't seen legislation in Congress right now that would provide an additional COVID-specific or one-time amount of emergency rental assistance. However, I would also say there's an intense policy discussion going on about the fact that need is ongoing. And so that where there's been the ability, because of COVID, to generate the will to have these types of one-time assistance programs, many advocates are vigorously discussing whether, for example, the amount of funding for housing choice vouchers ought to be increased. That's the main federal rental assistance program, and it's chronically short of fulfilling the full need. So there is that discussion happening all the time, every year, in every year's appropriation discussions.
Mr. President?
It made me think about the fact that I think of all of our colleagues, I might have the widest economic range from serving the bulk of public housing to cities like Cuyahoga Heights, predominantly Republican areas. And just in our experience, and Ms. Nolan might be able to tell us, someone making $10,000 a year, they could be working, they could have $10,000, but what do they actually pay in rent? Could that be in their portion on a monthly basis?
Yeah, they feel $10,000 a year is right around, I think we did the math, is like $150 out of pocket, which they feel is high.
And actually, don't you have tenants that don't pay anything?
Yes, yeah.
Who pay $30
Yes.
a month?
Our minimum rent is $50, but it can be
$50,
waived if they have extenuating circumstances or they have zero income. But then still living with the voucher program, you have the cost of utilities. So the federal program does allow for a utility allowance, but it nowhere near covers the actual cost of utilities. So that's where programs like PIP and HEAP are so important to our participants.
I have so many residents, as I just go door to door, just meeting with my residents, talking with them, and many will say to me, well, this is a stepping stone for me where I am. I'm looking to, I'm going to Tri-C, or I'm doing this. And at the heart, we're here to serve individuals and help them to, again, progress and move forward. And many of them are doing that. But when Councilman Miller mentioned and prefaced the 3.5% unemployment and how low that is, and kind of framed it that way, I just thought about that. We don't really keep track or publicize what the true unemployment rate is. It's a little more nuanced than just 3.5. There are those who just aren't counted. And sometimes we're serving a population that is just not even looked at. It's not even captured in the numbers. So that's not really a question, just throwing that out there. So again, thank you for your service, and I'm happy to support this item.
Thank you again.
Okay, one last chance. Any other questions? All right, thank you both, and have a good afternoon. Are there any other questions or dialogue to be discussed? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.